How's it going, everybody? The Brett Mix from Macho Wrestling 101 here for the Monday Night Wars. This is the WCW side. Today we're looking at week 96. A lot of stuff has transpired before this week, and we're going to get right to it. But first, I'd like to say hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying these reviews. And let's do this show in under 10 minutes like we do all of them. Nitro beats Raw for the 59th week in a row. The scores were 4.3 for Nitro to Raw's 2.2. So Nitro won by a whole 2.1. Why is that? We'll get to that in just a second. Through 96 weeks, the totality of the Monday Night Wars is Nitro with 77 wins, WWF with 17 wins, and 2 draws. Before this 96 week of Nitro went at it, Raw missed a couple of episodes. Raw wasn't on the air for a couple weeks. So since Nitro doesn't go head-to-head with Raw, I didn't review it. So we didn't review the Nitro that drew a 5.0 and a Nitro that drew a 4.8. 2 full weeks with Raw not on the air. So I have to go over those Nitro results really quickly before we get into this week's Nitro, or else it's not going to make sense from a concurrent standpoint. First, we missed Clash of the Champions, where Sting on pay-per-view, where Sting was supposed to answer for Hollywood Hogan's challenge, but he just stood in the rafters with a crow on his shoulder. A really cool visual. On the first Nitro that we missed with a 5.0 rating, they confirmed that Sting vs. Hogan will happen in 97. They had a great opening segment. Luger took on Savage in the main event and distracted Luger. Luger accidentally hit DDP, so there was a little bit of confusion there. The tag team match, La Parka and Psychosis defeated Ernest Miller and Glacier. Ultimo Dragon defeated Silver King. Jeff Jarrett defeated Benoit. The Faces of Fear defeated Mortis and Wrath. Steve McMichael defended against Eddie Guerrero. Chris Jericho defended against Yuji Nagata. And Dean Malenko faced Alex Wright and won by DQ. Luger and Savage went to a no contest. In the second Nitro we missed, before this Nitro review that I'm doing, that drew a 4.8 on September the 1st, 97, the Four Horsemen got a parody of them by the NWO. That's what this episode is known for, but Mortis also beat Silver King. Benoit and McMichael defeated Guerrero and Jarrett. Yuji Nagata defeated Malenko. Ultimo Dragon defeated La Parka. Bagwell defeated Glacier. Liz Mark Jr. defeated Villano. Alex Wright defended against Hugh Morris and won. Steven Richards defeated Damien. Ray Trailer defeated Prince Ayuki. Chris Jericho won a Cruiserweight Battle Royal for the number 1 contendership. And Randy Savage and Scott Hall defeated DDP and Luger. And they had some more problems. But this episode is known for the parody of the Four Horsemen by the NWO. So having said all that, let's get to this week's show that did go up against Raw. Raw did it and beat it by a whole 2.1 in the ratings. Shivani welcomes us to the show on Monday, September the 8th, 1997, live on TNT from Milwaukee Arena in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is the Fall Brawl War Games Go Home show. We first see last week's parody of the Horsemen by the NWO. We kick things off with the Nitro Girls. They are building towards Fall Brawl War Games this Sunday on pay-per-view. To open the show, Benoit, Hennig, Mongo, and Flair challenge the NWO to the ring. Shivani says, will they accept the challenge as the Horsemen go down to the ring? Flair says he's a legitimate legend, Arn is, and they made fun of Arn last week. He said he's a man's man and underlines the word man. WCW did something huge to honor his career, and the NWO wrecked it. Flair says, we're not leaving without me getting a piece of you. Gene says, hopefully when we come back we have an answer. Flair says he ain't leaving until we have a match. Flair says, Hall, Nash, Six, Conan, Bagwell, we're here. And we're united with the lights on. Don't let down Milwaukee, Mean Gene said. We open things up with an awesome match. It's Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Eddie Guerrero. This is Mysterio's comeback match. A lot of the same stuff happened at Halloween Havoc in this match. Halloween Havoc 97's classic that everyone knows. This is before that, about a month before. Spectacular match. Rey Mysterio won with a springboard Hurricane Rana. I gave it 3 stars and 3/4. DDP's music hits, and he comes to talk about his problems with Luger. Luger comes there, and they challenge each other to a match tonight to settle their differences. As the fans cheer, as they're both babyfaces for Team WCW. Hugh Morris takes on the Disco Inferno. Alex Wright comes to the ring dancing with his title. Hugh Morris knocks Wright off the apron and a powerbomb to Disco. Then a moonsault called the No Laughing Matter hits, and Morris wins the match. After the match, Disco Inferno got into a fight with Alex Wright verbally. I gave it a star. NWO come out. Six says Ric Flair is really upset that Six showed the whole world last week how stupid Flair has been for the last 20 years. Nash says the NWO make all the rules. Bagwell says he's not busy the rest of the night. Bagwell can take his spot. My spot. You're going to take my spot. That's what the Four Horsemen, or the NWO said about the Four Horsemen when Arn gave his spot of the Horsemen to Kurt Hennig. So Six always said, or Bagwell always made fun of it by saying, "You're going to take my spot. Not a liver spot, not Spot the dog, but my spot." That's how they kept saying that. Chris Jericho defended his Cruiserweight title against Brad Armstrong. Jericho retains after a DQ, and Eddie Guerrero, his Fall Brawl opponent, ran out. Gave it a quarter of a star. They show Hollywood Hogan beating on J.J. Dillon last week. That also happened at the leg drop. Hogan and Bischoff come to the ring. The crowd chant NWO. Hogan said he's tired of Sting. He hasn't beaten anybody in a year. Well, that's true. Bischoff said Sting is nothing more than a coward. Then they show Sting from a zip line go all the way to the bottom and hit the ground. This is before Owen Hart, obviously. And it was a mannequin, a dummy. The crowd was silent at first, but then they realized it was a dummy. Hogan dropped the leg, and Bischoff, with a referee shirt, counted the 3. Next up, the Faces of Fear fought the Steiner brothers with Ted DiBiase. A good power-on-power match. Rick with a flying clothesline. Shivani says Wrath and Mortis will face the Faces of Fear, and the Steiners will face Harlem Heat at Fall Brawl, but tonight it's these two teams. Megan the Barbarian win after a DQ when Mortis and Wrath came out, as did Harlem Heat. So a double DQ. I gave the match a star and 3/4. Scott Hall took on Super Callow. Super Callow ties up with Hall as he does the woogie 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 with his fingers. Hall just dominated Callow. Must have reminded him from his early Raw days where he beat a jobber up for 10-15 minutes. 10-15, maybe we're like 5 to 10 minutes. Scott won after an outsider's edge. Ray Traylor comes to the ring, though, and gets in Hall's face, and then the two go at it. Hollywood Hogan walked out, surprisingly, and even Shivani said, "How often does Hogan come out for something like this?" And Traylor got the outsider's edge as he was distracted by Hogan. Hogan sprays NWO on his back as some of the fans cheer. Sonny Ono is in Psychosis' corner as he took on Dean Malenko, and this is a great match. Psychosis crashed and burned, came off the top with a guillotine leg drop. Malenko kicked out. Malenko clotheslines Ono off the top, and Malenko rolls up Psychosis, who did a standing switch of sorts into a Texas cloverleaf, and he taps Psychosis out. 2 stars and a quarter for that. Jarrett, after the match, comes out with Deborah, and they said they'll wait till Sunday Fall Brawl to get at it with Malenko. They announced a new active chairman in WCW's J.J. Dillon's position, and it's Roddy Piper who returns. Piper says he's been president of the WWF, as the fans boo. He says Sting and Hogan will happen by 97. He says me and Hogan will happen in a cage at Halloween Havoc. And he says at War Games, the Horsemen meet the NWO. So 3 major announcements from the new acting president of WCW, Roddy Piper. Kurt Hennig and Ric Flair took on Conan and Buff Bagwell. Bagwell with a back body drop to Flair. Conan with right hands to Flair. Flair catches Bagwell with a chop. He got the hot tag in this match, and then he went crazy on both members of the NWO. Bagwell and Flair go back and forth, but Rick drops both after a hot tag. Hennig and Flair on the outside trips Conan and Hennig into a perfect plex for the win. Decent tag match. I gave it 2.5 stars for Kurt Hennig and Ric Flair. The main event saw DDP versus Lex Luger, 2 WCW guys trying to settle their differences. They have inadvertently hit each other at times during the last few shows. DDP and Lex circle one another like sharks. The NWO come out circling the ring to watch WCW's 2 top stars go at it, or 2 of the top stars. DDP went for a diamond cutter, then a side suplex. Luger with a running lariat, and then tried to get his torture rack, but the NWO attacked him on the outside. DDP with a crossbody to the Savage on the outside, and the match ends in a no contest. I gave it a 1.5 stars for the wrestling we did see. After the match, the Giant came to the ring to help DDP and Luger. The timekeeper keeps ringing the bells non-stop. The Giant chokeslam Vincent. They end the show with this brawl. Giant, Luger, DDP sticking up for WCW. They built the Fall Brawl well in this closing segment, but DDP, Lex, and the Giant cleared house. Someone threw a cheese head, and Scott Hall and Randy Savage both put on the cheese head. Both of them walk to the back. DDP and Luger shake hands as the fans cheer as that closes off Nitro. Shivani yells, "NWO, we're coming to Fall Brawl," while Mike Tenay says, "WCW for life." So quality-wise, I rate this Nitro as 7.5 out of 10 because it had Piper's comeback with his 3 announcements of Sting, Hogan, him and Hogan in a cage, and the Fall Brawl War Games Horseman match. We had the Hogan Bischoff Sting stunt. We had an Eddie and Ray classic. Malenko and Psychosis was good. So was Steiner's Faces of Fear, and so was the main event as well. I rate this just above average. It was a good show. 7.5 out of 10 seems right, and the Nitros are only going to get better from here on out until late 1997. I'm Brett Mix. Hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm out.